Get it while it's hot.
Boy, okay, so we got some good stuff today, okay? But we're gonna click and make sure you're there first, okay? You gotta be there.
Yeah. Show yourself.
Let's say hi to the chat room, everybody.
Show yourselves.
If you is there, then say hi in the chat for me.
Yes.
All of our chatsters on YouTubes. Here, I'll go ahead and type in. I'll say hi. Hello. You guys can engage with us if you want. I don't mind.
He says hi. Hi, mate.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, there you go. There you go, mate.
Okay. How do I do anything on this channel?
Maybe we're getting botted each week because it shows 0 now, and it's always either 2 or 3, but nobody ever hardly says anything.
2 or 3.
Oh, there we go. There's 2. What's up? What's up, my tubula?
Okay, so
My dual tubulations.
YouTubes, the tubers out there.
Am I a little hot? Maybe I'm a little hot. I'm gonna turn you down a little bit.
Thank you for, for doing all the stuff, clicking the things, and doing the stuff. Our Twitchers out there, our Twitches, right? It's not Twitchers.
Twitches and Sons of Twitches. Also, we can't be exclusive here.
The
all
Twitch,
are allowed.
The Twitch fam.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing up today.
Yeah. What's up with my Twitch fam?
Let's do it.
Word to my Twitches.
Word up. Now where the, I'm still.
It's Master Phil. He's confused this week, ladies and gentlemen.
There's
Master Phil.
The screen, the monitor that I'm using is too large. It's like behind my iPad. I'm trying to say hi to the chat. I'm not sure what's going on at the bottom of the screen right now.
Yeah, nobody said shit to you. Not in YouTube, anyway.
Okay.
You said hi in YouTube, and I'm monitoring YouTube. So if anyone says anything in that, I'll see that. Right. So you only have Twitch on your screen that will be the one you respond to.
Okay, sounds good.
Unless I can add Twitch on this iPad.
You could.
But that's using more bandwidth,
Yeah, you bounce back and forth, whatever.
For me, it seems most logical to use the computer since it's connected to the wire for anything that's going to use bandwidth, so that we don't clog the wireless Wi-Fi channels. The Wi-Fi information superhighway within the studio here at Infinity Times Infinity Studios, with information on other Wi-Fi channels other than our Slingstudio hub and camera links.
Right.
Because those are indeed using Wi-Fi technology to wirelessly pass the transmission that you see before your eyes. You're welcome, Internet.
You are welcome. Okay.
Master Phil has devised a cunning plan.
I have devised a cunning plan.
And then I revised that devised cunning plan. Now we have a revised cunning plan.
Okay, this is an interesting show today. We have what we figured out is that there are weird coincidences with audio and video, right, Dan?
Yeah, it's so weird that the word diffusion means diffusion no matter where you use it, right?
Right. Diffusion is one of the terms that we're going to look at. And
okay, maybe some of them aren't that weird, but some of them are a little bit weird. So weird kind of does apply, especially for certain things that you would think mean the same thing that don't, right? Like compression, dynamic range, things like that.
Right. So there are some coincidences that are alike, and then there are some coincidences that don't mean shit.
Yeah.
But this is
like the R-rated Sesame Street right now,
Right.
One of these fucking things is not like the others, alright?
Alright. So we have a whole list here of weird ass coincidences.
Yep.
Question mark.
Yeah.
Just for you guys.
Yeah.
All my video guys, this way you can kind of think of your audio, as being similar to video. It's weird, we do it all the time, right?
Yes. And for all my audio guys out there who may not be as familiar with the use of video, but now in our strange times we live in, probably more Master Phils are going to be involved in more studios like in our IXI studios here. So
oh man, the Master Phils out there, the people producing the content, the good stuff, the goody good, that live stream goody good.
Yeah. Only problem is I know that there's no Phil as masterful as my Master Phil, so y'all are all kind of out of luck. But whatever the leftovers is, I mean, you know,
Right.
you could have something that resembles. Well, no, you really can't.
Right.
This takes years, folks. This is the thing about what we do here. All of our knowledge has been amassed not over a short quantity of time, but rather over a longer period of time. More consistent with someone who has to be, well, old, like us.
Right.
Sadly.
I don't consider myself old, Dan. I'm like a child.
No, Master Phil is a eternal youth. His beauty retains its amazing
I smell like
splendor.
Teen Spirit, people. Okay.
Yeah, he has a youthful glow about him, and it's amazing. You know, he's like the fountain of youth. You know,
So
Philippines was colonized by Spain, and I believe it was a Spanish conquistador that was looking for
Yeah.
the found Ponce de Leon, right?
Right.
Or was he Portuguese, maybe? But at any rate, he must have found it in the Philippines because Philippine people
Spain.
are predictably beautiful into advanced aging states. So you're lucky. You are lucky for your genes in terms of your ability to retain your youthful glow and beauty.
Yeah. Filipinos are strange in that way because we were kind of like oppressed a little bit, but it was like a good mixture of Spanish and Oriental like background. So like we can take all of that. We can rep the Spanish side of ourselves,
Right.
but then we can also do the Oriental
Yeah.
side and mash it together.
Exactly.
And then we like basketball and fried chicken too. So like we'll just throw it all in there. So
Oh, the multiculturalism. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
exactly. So all right. So this is a debate. This is a long conversation that me and Dan have always had. Is like I'll be explaining something in video to Dan that has you know, the exact same name and an audio aspect of it. So
yeah.
like the first thing on the list right here is noise, right?
Yeah. You know, whenever we look at an image or we hear a sound, you know, there's noise that we can call in either one of those things, right? A
Right.
sound is usually something like the noise floor or the amount of hiss associated, or whenever you have amplifier noise or and modulation, distortion, or other kinds of distortion noise happening, then, you know, you have noise and audio, right?
And what's funny to me is that videographers understand what noise is in the image, but like I see a lot of videographers out there on YouTube that just don't give a crap about the audio part, and they have like hissy audio. What they don't understand is that the noise could be in either the image or the sound, right? And that was me. That was me though,
exactly.
too. Like I
you-
started out just like that, you know.
Right.
Like
you started blaming, and I did too. When we first brought the camera in that didn't do well in low light, I was like, this camera's a piece of shit. And it wasn't the camera, it was the user who was the problem.
It's usually the user.
It's usually the user, right?
Right.
But, you know, until you understand that the camera needs very specific things in order to have its optimal operating in specific conditions, and then you know how to meet those specific things in those conditions, then you won't get an optimal result. It's just that simple.
Exactly.
And the more automatic you have the camera, the more inconsistent looking the end result will be.
Right. So back in my day, all the auto settings were like, cut the auto settings. They're gonna screw you.
Yeah, because
Okay?
sometimes they really did.
Because they did.
So
But-
everything was even manual focus too, right, Phil?
Right. Manual focus. Like I shot a whole wedding like manually focusing.
With a focus ring in his hand.
With a focus ring in my hand, you know, and that's the way cinematographers would do.
Yes,
But
and-
the robots are so good these days.
They are, but at the same time, the shot that you get from that handheld shot with the focus pull or whatever, you know, because it's controlled by you have an artistic aspect that's being added that's essentially unavailable otherwise.
Right. It can become your own style within all of those auto features that people always worry about. Like if a camera is gonna do a pull, it's just gonna be a nice, even looking pull, which is great.
Right.
But what if you want to do a sharp, fast pull, or like what if you want to pull all the way across your frame, like all the way back, all the way forward,
Yeah, well, it turns out in some of the better cameras these days, like my Sony a7S III, there is a speed adjustment for the autofocus.
Right.
So that is pretty cool, and it actually does make a difference. So if you set it to slow, it is a lot like a handheld focus pull, a lot more like it.
Yeah.
It feels significantly better than when it's on fast and it's just went right up there.
Right.
But that can be cinematic as well.
Yeah.
The things that we often associate with cinematic aren't necessarily legitimately to be labeled that way, right? I mean, in the cinema, you have a lot of jump cuts, just the same as you have a lot of slow pans. So you have to know what you're doing with each one of those things, right?
Right. The transitions are something to be hidden, but also help tell the story. Like if you have like passage of time, you're gonna do that crossfade.
Crossfade. There's another word. We didn't even put that on the list.
Oh shit, crossfade. You're right, bro.
Crossfade is that's actually more of a DJ term. It's only because I'm DJ Dank that I know that, right?
He knows of this. But that's great.
Yeah. So I had a crossfader back in the day, and that just changed from one track to the other in between them, in a slow fade. And guess what? A crossfade in video is that as well.
Yeah.
It's adding both up at the screen at the same time, and then the X crossfade essentially is what's happening.
It's the infinity times infinity.
It's our logo happening.
The crossfade logo.
Yeah,
Y'all
actually.
seen that? Y'all check this out. Like at the bottom left-hand corner.
Bro?
You can't see it. But
we're crossfading it up. You know what I'm saying?
If you look at the bottom left-hand here,
put it on quad view. Maybe it'll show a little more.
I think that this is what I'm supposed to be pointing at. Right?
Yeah. You're right on it. You're right on
right
it.
there.
Yeah, that's
See,
it.
I can interact with my, logos and stuff.
Yeah, his future self knows himself already. So that's how we're able to do that. Infinity times Infinity Studios. We're in on another dimension. That's why there's no noise here, by the way. To go back to our original point about noise.
Right, noise.
And the cinema is another place where you'll hardly ever see the noise, and that's usually because they're shooting in RAW, which is a lot like recording in WAV.
Right.
An uncompressed format.
Yeah. And
compression.
That's kind of how you want to capture it, with as little noise as possible.
Right.
So that later you can tweak it and adjust it however you need to.
Yeah. So there's actually two types of compression in audio, because there's data compression that has to do with lossy compression types like MP3, and then there's also compression of a channel to, bring up the signal relative to the baseline. Crunch everything down,
right?
Squash it.
Squashing it.
When you think of squashing it, that's hard compression. So.
Right. Compression is another thing.
Compression is another one. I don't know if that was on the list, but that's our list. Our list could be so long.
I know this is a discussion we've been having forever for the entire time I've been a video producer and he's been an audio producer. We've had this discussion,
which is a long time, y'all. I mean, what's it been? Maybe a decade almost at this point.
It's going for a while now.
I mean, you'd think, how is that possible since these guys can't be any more than 25? Well, we started producing when we were 13 and 15, okay? That's how that's possible.
I started producing when I was out the womb.
He was a baby. He was filming me while he was a baby.
I was trying to crawl and touch my dad's radio receiver, like turning weird-ass knobs,
Yeah. He would grab the camcorder at the family vacation,
Jump up on the turntable, make it go...
Yeah, he was the tiny videographer and I a tiny DJ.
Yep, exactly.
No, it's not true. I make shit up.
True. It's not true, but we have been doing this for a long time, and we've been talking about noise today, which, I mean, is a very important thing. Like, what's funny is, like, the original videos that I shot had a hell of a lot of noise in it. But I didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like, whenever I first started shooting, I didn't have anything to go off of. Plus, camera technology was way worse back then too.
You weren't going to get a noise-free shot in those days. Even your best shot would
Mini
be
DV? Did
would
y'all
be a
ever
shot with
shoot?
noise. And guess what? Back in the old days of consumer-grade audio interfaces, you weren't going to avoid some noise in your preamps.
Right.
And in fact, even the low-grade audio interfaces today will generally have a good bit of perceivable noise at the top end of their gain ranges.
Right.
And some of the less affordable ones as well, frankly. You know, because a lot of it has to do with what the manufacturers are willing to give you up at the top of the distortion profile.
Exactly.
You know? And that's how it was with cameras too.
Right.
Like with a snapshot camera, you're not going to get shit without noise in it. So they're going to sell you something with a sensor in it that's noisy, and they don't care.
Do you guys remember phone camera footage back in the 90s?
Oh, it was bad. It was like
there were pieces falling off of people and stuff.
It was mostly just snow.
It looked like
and then
sand people.
Silhouettes. Yeah.
Like Minecraft looks better than that video. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We weren't even 8-bit, you know. We were like 4-bit.
It was low, okay, guys? Like,
but we weren't blocky. We were just blurry turds, you know.
Yeah, that was back when a phone was for calling people, right? Just a phone.
There was nothing else that a phone would do.
The camera
actually,
was a little extra something, but it couldn't hold up in court how bad the video was.
Yeah, but even the flip phones had a camera in them, so there was video from flip phones.
Yeah.
And what it would
Razor.
look like is almost indistinguishable, just a bunch of weird blocks and fuzz.
Right.
But it had a camera, so
So then you come to...
If you saw Bigfoot, you could take a photo. It just would be very difficult to prove that you had seen Bigfoot afterward.
People would be like, nah, man, no.
You ain't seen no Bigfoot.
So today we're working with camera phones that could possibly be better than the lower lines of regular ass digital cameras right now. You know what I mean?
Yep. If you watch our friend Casey on Camera Conspiracies, he has recently bought himself a smartphone and is now comparing that to everything that's short of a full frame DSLR or mirrorless camera, because basically anything short of that, the phone is comparable to.
Yeah.
A 1-inch sensor, it's pretty much even up to APS-C. Yeah, I mean, that's when you're starting to edge out the phone a little bit.
Yeah.
But up until then, this ZV-1, I mean, that's not that much better than what the best phone does now. It's almost indistinguishable. I would go so far as to say that the best phone's video is probably on par with the ZV-1, or maybe even a little better. Yeah.
You don't really start seeing it until you start getting into full frame type cameras, and like the A7 III, obviously, that we have going on here on me is freaking dope shit. I feel like it's awesome. The A7S III, then you even see more dynamic range and
they don't see that. You're the only thing in program.
Geez, let's go to the quad.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember going to the quad, guys. Okay,
no.
We're going streaking through the quad later. Okay?
We're going streaking through the quad.
You're my boy.
Who's coming with me? You're my boy, boo.
Okay, so anyway, the A7S III, that shit is so dope. The dynamic range and the detail that it brings out.
Yeah, I have it kind of in the dark where it's into a bright hole, so it's kind of what a camera should be doing the worst out of anything. So the fact that it still looks somewhat salvageable is a testament to the A7S III's capabilities.
Yeah, seriously.
Every other camera looks like crap in there.
We will switch over to the GoPro Hero 5, and it's just barely, it's trying to do what it can do.
I think I can do that now. Let me go do that.
You will see some stuff swimming around in the GoPro Hero 5 footage. Just watch. Dan's going into the room now. Watch the A7S III. Watch it. Oh no, we went to the overhead shot. Look at that overhead shot, you guys.
It's like that's the GoPro by comparison.
Right, by comparison. Okay,
so
I'm putting that into the program.
Oh, I don't know. That's rude. That's fucking rude right there.
That's
harsh.
Brutal. If you look at the keys, I mean, stuff should be swimming on there. Plus, if you're looking through YouTube, then you probably can't even tell that there's a keyboard there.
Oh man, a YouTube diss, right? Live too.
We love you, YouTube, but we definitely know you're compressing the shit out of our stuff.
Compression, another mention of exact same term between video and audio. So that's how audio and video compression can be similar, because audio compression in a lossless, like data compression kind of concept, is essentially the same kind of thing as compression artifacts and so forth from video, because video compression is also loss of data in a truncation of the size of the file, and probably a reformatting or some sort of a encoding that's happening into the YouTube's video codec, or whatever their video characteristics are for optimization.
Yeah,
they still call it SD and HD, but is it really a 1080p or 4K image, or has YouTube used some algorithm to make that a smaller file, even though it's supposed to look 1080 or 4K?
Right. How do we know that YouTube is actually taking all of this information? People are uploading stuff all the time. We upload an hour video to YouTube every Saturday.
Well, we're absolutely sure that the concept of compression is getting us, because we have dual stream to Twitch, and before we had triple stream to Mixer, and both Mixer and Twitch looked better than YouTube back then.
Yeah.
And now Twitch looks amazing every week, guys. Please go check out the Twitch if you're not one of my Twitches already.
Yep. And if you're on Twitch and you haven't gone to our YouTube channel,
please
go over there.
Please go click the thumbs up thing. You know, that's the YouTube algorithm.
You know, clicky click.
You're familiar.
Clickety
Nobody's
click for
clicked
the
our
algorithm.
thumb up for a while, so
yeah,
we like it whenever our thumbs are clicked.
Sometimes we'll hold our thumbs out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna change it back to one of the Sonys over there. It's
okay.
Looking that bad.
All right, so
the compression will be terrible on that. Bill.
The compression is going to be redonk, and it's such a dark shot. That's what the GoPro Hero 5 is working with, and then you go to an actual mirrorless camera. Or even the 6600. Look at how clean that looks.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's your face cam.
I mean, you can't unless you're like an action sports hero, you know, like that shot is just for our overhead, which looks really cool whenever we light everything up. Like the keyboard like has its own blue lights, and then there's like other cool lights that go off. So that's a really cool overhead shot.
Yep.
But we're not actually, using.
You know what? Frame rate and sample rate are another thing that's analogous, because the reason why the blue lights aren't on is because they flash because of frame rate.
Because of the frame rate.
They're 30 cycles a second LED lights on the keyboard, most likely.
Right.
Or they're 60 or whatever is a multiple or half of it.
Yeah.
So if they're 15, it's even worse, right? Because then it goes to 2 frames. But whatever it is, they flash in the shot because of frame rate. So that's another thing that happens. It's kind of like sample rate. Whenever you have a conversion factor happening in a song, you can have truncations that change shit in a way that removes your data or negatively affects something about your shit.
Right. Frames are very important for sure.
Yeah, we always use a frame rate that's basically the same among each of the 4 cameras. Always about 30 frames a second, I believe.
Right. They're all.
We could also do 60, but we're transmitting out in 1080-30.
Yeah.
So it's better not to undergo a conversion, most likely.
But it's for the stream, really. I mean, going over that would be.
Yeah, we could be
nuts.
capable of it easily. But our data rate wouldn't handle it because of internet capabilities.
Right.
So.
And really, this is the most efficient workflow that we've found.
Yeah, really, this is reasonable for anybody. A lot of guys say this. We're not the only people that are saying that, 1080p should be certainly more than sufficient. The problem is that if they're going to treat your 1080p like it's a piece of garbage and half its data, then... the way around that, frankly, is to upload it in 4K onto YouTube. That's probably what Casey does for Camera Conspiracies.
Right.
So they
but doing a whole hour stream in 4K.
No, they They probably would still have to do something to us. They wouldn't allow that in full lossless, uncompressed.
They would be like, okay, you guys are going straight standard definition here.
Right. But interestingly, compression and audio and sample rate and bit rate are also kind of interestingly tied to videos, codec and format and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Because the format is kind of like bit rate and sample rate. Like 2496 would be kind of like the XHAVC codec of Sony's or whatever it is.
Right.
That's
you got your MP4, you got your which is kind of like an MP3. I mean, it's easy to use.
It's malleable codec. It's nice and
it's like a JPEG.
Nice and friendly. It doesn't take a lot of processing power extra because it's not a big thing that's got a lot of requirements. It's got to be looked at and stuff.
Right. And then,
like some of the others.
And then like you got the H.264.
Yeah. So that's format. The word format actually is another one for video and audio.
True. Yeah.
Because,
so you got to think about your formats, the codecs, what's going to encode your video.
Yeah, sample rate versus frame rate. So your rate essentially. But
but this is the thing is that like with what we're doing, it's nice to have an expert that's just like mainly audio, and then have somebody that's video, and then we compare between us because we actually catch things that each one of us like might mess up. It's like
we're on the same wavelength yet focused on different types of wavelengths.
Right.
You on light wavelengths and me on sound wavelengths.
Right. Oh, another good one, color. Right.
Color is a big one. Color is more of an analogy in the sound world often. They say that preamps have colors.
Right.
And color in video world is to be taken essentially literally.
Right.
But, color science is an extension of that color term in video. Mm-hmm. And that one is more broad and more related to what exactly a camera outputs natively for the colors in your shots. So
right. And so like whatever brand you go after, they're usually going to have a similar color science within their brand. But it's going to be different.
In audio, wouldn't you know it? Everything that's Neve is Neve sauce. It's colored. It's colored.
Like it's signature.
It's vintage saucy color,
right.
And SSL is color. It's a certain color, right? API, it's always they're known for their punchy. They have a certain color. Well, the color comes from certain other characteristics that define the way the instrument is, and it's taking in the information and then interpreting it for you, right? And that's essentially what's happening in both a camera and in an audio scenario and an audio interface,
right?
An AD converter in DA. It's a lot like the processor in a camera, right?
It's processing little pixels for what the real world is, basically.
Yeah. Your preamp is kind of like your sensor on a camera, right? Because you're getting your raw amount of data in, and then the processor happens in a camera, and also the AD conversion and the processing essentially happens on audio as well.
Right.
And then you have an output that determines your color.
Right.
So you got Sony color over here. Well, guess what? Sony makes microphones. Yeah. There's a Sony color too. It's bright.
Right.
It's bright. The Sony C800G is a large diaphragm condenser mic that I've used on many recording sessions because the model for it is so stunning in the Townsend Lab sphere. So the reason why it's so good is something to do with the high end, actually.
Yeah.
And it's color. It's the Sony color.
This Townsend mic is for sure magic of some sort.
This thing is the full rainbow of colors.
The full rainbow. It's got a magical unicorn that lives inside it.
Yeah. The reason why it's so good is because you can change all those colors afterward too. As long as you print One that's got the color on it and one that's just raw, which you can do.
Right.
Then you can put the color on the raw one later.
Right.
So we've also done that.
So raw and video.
Raw and audio and raw and video. Did we put that in the list? I don't know. I never learned to read. You texted me shit that's over there on my camera being used as a video camera.
Right.
So
no, yeah, I think that raw has to be added if we don't have it.
Yep.
Because raw
is just like wave. It's the uncompressed form.
Yes.
And it's the one that is the most improvable because it's got the most data.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
So,
you can like. Well, the best part about it in video is the exposure aspect. Like you can change.
Yeah, all that's more malleable.
Yeah,
because it's less committed.
Right. Exactly.
All the data is still there, uncommitted.
Yeah.
It's just like our uncommitted tracks versus our press tracks that are committed.
Right.
With the Townsend printed on it.
Uh-huh.
That's another thing. Printing. You call a print a camera a print, but you print tracks.
Yeah.
When you're producing, so.
Okay.
Printing is another thing. It's like a proof.
In the video world, it would be rendering.
Rendering, yeah. For video. For photo, perhaps it would be called printing, but it would still be a render of the photo.
Yeah.
Technically. That's being rendered onto a paper or whatever.
Right. Because that's all that video is a bunch of photos. Right?
Yeah. 30 of them per second or however many.
However many you set
We're all just stop motion Gumbies here for your amusement.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, let's record everything in slow-mo for the rest of the day, Like.
Then we can re-edit it later, like Gumby.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, man. So this conversation is epic. Okay, like we're going to do a whole series on it.
Yeah.
We have a whole list of words here that we could just sit here and talk about all freaking day. And
yeah, but we did want to do at least one more today, which had to do with diffusion, right?
Diffusion.
We were going to talk about diffusion because here in the studio, in the live room in specific, we want to include more types of treatment to the sound than just absorption and the existing, essentially, reflection.
Right.
So the way to do that is to add diffusion, which there's also a thing for in video, but in audio, diffusion is whenever something bounces off of stuff at different times, and therefore it comes back not as all one, but as a bunch of different pieces.
Right. And in video, what we're talking about is light and how it bounces off and reflects off of things. You don't want certain things overexposed. So what you do is you get a light and you put something over it and you diffuse it. So that way it dissipates into the room in a natural, even-looking light.
Right, yeah. It's about, instead of it penetrating so directly, it is spread out more evenly. And therefore it's not as hot in the hot spots because it's just spread. It's spread. And that's what diffusion actually is, both in audio and video. It's taking something that's one more focused type of array or signal and turning that into many smaller ones that are all spread out evenly.
Right.
And the more even, the better, both in video and audio.
This whole studio has been set up the way Dan has set it up because you want the right amount of diffusion / reflection, all of these things, right?
Yeah, in order to make your space sound good, you have to do certain things. So the shape of the space is really probably the most important thing because certain things about certain shapes make it sound bad inherently. But after you get over those things, you're able to do a lot of other things to improve the sound through those three things that I may have already named, but they're absorption and diffusion and reflection. So that's an oversimplification. Actually, of course, there are other things, other shapes produce other types of patterns. For example, a radiation comes from a sphere or a cone shape. A convex or concave surface can be a radiator. Right. And, that's a particular shape that is of interest to me because it's also a diffusive pattern that is created. And in fact, that's a more continuously diffusive pattern across maybe a wider surface, because a cylinder is continuously curved.
Oh yeah.
Rather than being steps, like in the diffusers that are slits or cubes in a grid. You know,
Right.
those just have like little units, whereas a sphere or a half circle sphere, you know, or a cylinder even, they have a continuously round surface. So
Right.
those are the things that actually probably are the most effective for diffusion.
Right. So in video, like large production studios will use basically giant China ball.
Yeah, they look like a big
diffusion
pillow.
spheres.
They look like a lighted pillow around the light.
Right.
And they're called a soft box oftentimes. And there's also some other things that are kind of like a soft box that are either used by holding in front of the light or by, installing in various different measures.
Yeah. On top of the light.
On the
however you can
set
do
somehow,
it.
whether on the
Sometimes
light
you
or
just
on
gotta
another
get
stand.
like tissue paper to diffuse some
Yeah,
light.
yeah,
you know, like
diffusion doesn't have to be an expensive process.
It
We
doesn't.
have diffused using very inexpensive items.
yeah.
And,
you can do it yourself. Okay.
Yeah, you can. That's a good DIY.
Pantyhose. People use pantyhose.
Diffusion's a good DIY. And
yeah.
diffusion in panels is probably a good DIY too, because you can create a panel that diffuses your sound by creating a panel that bounces off the sound at different times, you know?
Right.
So if you think about the surface of a cylinder or a sphere,
Right.
now that's very different timing from the front edge to the sides, you know, and all the way in between. So, you know, that's what interests me the most about a complex shape, and particularly suspended in the air. If we had things hanging from the ceiling that were either cylindrical or spherical, or even cubes or dodecahedrons, different types of polygons, would do all sorts of things for diffusion of the audio. So diffusion is what I'm most interested in terms of audio treatment.
Right.
And I think we can make diffusion here in this live room, because really in a live room you want some echo. Like earlier when you heard Master Phil talking at the beginning of this video, he was talking so loud before I gained him down that you could hear echo in here. And that's even though he's got absorption panels directly behind him. You can see down in the lower right quadrant, back behind the guitar and the Marshall, there's a couple of black squares. Those are absorption panels. So those keep the echo from happening in the room. And they're right there, right where he is. Yeah, those are the ones. Those two right there are Real Traps. Genuine Ethan Weiner Real Traps. Shouts out to Ethan Weiner and the Real Traps company. Those are not inexpensive, but they are worth every penny because they are extremely effective. Particularly if you use them offset from your wall or structure at least an inch. Between an inch and 2 inches, I believe, is optimal. And that's a lot of things are that way with absorption, and that's a thing that often is neglected in people's installation of these panels. Particularly in absorption panels, if the panel itself has no empty space in it inherently, then you want to leave an air gap between the panel and the wall so that it can go all the way through the panel, hit the wall, and then go all the way back through the panel, versus just bouncing off the back of the panel on the wall at the same time.
Right.
That extra little bit of air gap, that doubles essentially the effectiveness, strangely. You wouldn't think it would do that much more, but it's a big deal. And these Real Traps, these Ethan Weiner Real Traps, they're definitely solid all the way through as far as I can tell. So they need to be installed with a bit of a gap, an air gap on the wall.
Right. That's a good point for sure. Like, because like just that little gap can change the way your room sounds.
That will change. If all you have installed in your room is 8 of those 2x4 panels, 4 on each wall, as often is the case in those rooms.
Right.
If those 8 panels are not offset from the wall's surface by an inch or 2, they'll do marginally as well as they would if they were. Yeah. The room probably could go from not being well enough treated to being well enough treated, simply by having put the inch between the wall and the gap.
Just having the gap, right?
Just putting the gap on all 8 panels.
There you go.
If that's all you got.
Right.
If that's all you got out there, guys, in studio land, make sure you got your gap behind your panels. It will improve your absorption, and absorption is extremely important. The other tip I would have for that is to install your absorption along non-adjacent walls so that your panels are offset from one side to the other. In other words, if you can keep them from being right across from each other, that's better, because then you have an absorptive surface across from any reflective surface you have on the other side. So
all right.
once
Thank you for chatting with us. Audio to the eyeballs. What's going on?
Yes.
He says he agrees with us.
See, that's cool. His name is Audio to the Eyeballs, so he's definitely vibing with us, right? Because our conversation is about video and audio. So
yeah. So we got.
Are we bright enough for you to hear us, bro?
All right, cool.
You know what I'm saying?
You
Do you feel me?
there. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Audio in your eyeballs.
So we're going
what an incredibly appropriate nick for this discussion.
Right, audio to the eyeballs.
This is beautiful. What did he say? Anything to us?
He said,
"Shouts out to you." He or
hey
she.
guys, I agree. That's what he said.
Right on, man.
So we've been having this discussion for a long time. You guys, put in the comments, like, what are some of the weird coincidences that you guys see out there?
Yeah. Yeah. Surely there are some other words that you've come across in your travels and times here on this planet Earth,
we're gonna delve
or
deeper.
in whatever planet you're from.
We'll delve deeper into each one. Like actually do some samples of noise. Maybe like come up with some samples.
Yeah. This time we should have some music playing in the background, right? So.
Yeah. We Dan produced this music. So.
Actually, Dim produced this.
Right.
Me and Platinum D, Derek, our frequent guest here.
Yes, our biggest fan. He always comes to the show.
Our biggest fan and our number one in the bridge as well.
For sure.
If we're the co-captains, he's on number one.
Right. He's the guy that's always just jumping on the pianos, like.
Yep. He's willing to do anything, sometimes to our detriment, and making lav mics sound bad. Which, by the way, if any of you were watching last week and you heard the interference in the lav mic again, well, guess what? That stuff that we said at the beginning about how we weren't going to have the phones near the lav mics, well, two of us remembered that until the end.
Yeah.
The other, sadly, did not.
Yeah.
And he had it in his pocket, and I'm almost sure that that's what happened with the interference that we heard last week. So, again, don't be scared to use the wireless lav mics in your production as long as you don't have anyone with a phone anywhere near the receiver or transmitter of that device.
Right.
Because you will get interference.
You will get
just the same as you would
motorboat sound.
Just the same as you would within any microphone or speaker, because any transceiver is interfered with by radio signal interference, which is what a wireless phone text receiving or transmitting is, or call, or any transmission that happens essentially with the phone.
Sure. Anytime you're dealing with any type of wireless setup, you want to try to take away any of the things that could possibly interfere, even though it's really hard to control those things. You know what I mean?
It is indeed. Sometimes it's impossible, but managing those things is essentially what you have to do.
Right.
So
if you can use the wire, obviously, like the wires are.
Wires is number one.
Clean.
If you want to make sure that your signal is uninterrupted, there is one way to do it. It's called by hard wiring it with a wire.
Right, and it's hard for a reason, but it's worth it in the end.
The wire, it's hard wiring. Yes, it does indeed have a dual meaning in that sense, because it's a pain in the bitch, as Casey would say. What's up to you? Camera Conspiracies. I say Camera Conspiracies about 30 times a stream now. Yeah. So if he doesn't eventually watch this, I'd be kind of surprised, honestly. So once you do see it, man, shout us out,
For sure.
Pretty cool.
I mean, if you guys, anybody that is out there, you're producing, you're hitting it hard, we should collaborate for sure. Every time we can help each other out, let's do it. We're here.
Yeah, we're
every
into that.
Saturday.
Yeah, we've done some things with some people. We're out there so that we can get those experiences and make the production a better production for everyone involved.
Right, and we have some big projects coming up. Ethan Loomis is coming in. soon, right?
Yeah. Ethan has written some more material. For those of you who don't know, I've produced several tracks for an artist called Ethan Loomis, who is now out of Atlanta, Georgia, but he was formerly of this area, and so now we'll have sessions where he comes in from Atlanta,
Right.
lays down tracks at a furious pace, and then flies away.
For sure.
So
So in the past, we've done a full short film EP with Ethan Loomis.
yeah, go check out Let's Go Inside. That's the short film out there on YouTube, as a matter of fact. So,
Short film directed by me, produced by Ethan Loomis, produced by me. Dank had a lot of producer cred on, or is it producing or mixing, or what did you do exactly?
I co-produced and mixed
Okay.
and mastered everything on that,
Right.
I believe.
I believe so.
So yeah, me and Philly and Ethan have been making a great team for a really long time, actually. And you know, if you go check out that short film or any of the work that we've done to this point, I believe you would have to agree.
Right.
I'm very proud of it. In fact, Ethan has
I
just
love it.
re-released an extended LP of all of his works, essentially an amalgamation of that for
Right.
the last 2 to 3 years or so. And that thing is just good from front to back. I mean, that is a good representation of what's been going on in here in Infinity Times Infinity Studios over the last little while.
Right.
Yeah,
Of course,
pre-weird stuff.
we're here digging deep into the live streaming, learning new things. I'm learning Zoom, and I'm
Yeah.
actually doing Zoom for a big company out there that does NLP and whatnot. So it's a new project where I'm learning Zoom, and what I want to do is I want to take that to music, you know, like actually have musicians be able to see their fans, interact with their fans, and have their fans like cheer for them,
Yep.
you know, react to what they're playing.
Yeah,
you know?
we saw this in what was it, a Travis Scott concert maybe or something.
Yeah,
There was a couple of different concerts now where we've seen people being shown on big screens that are audience members of a stream, essentially, that's happening of the show.
right.
So-
I mean, like these band members, you know, they had big plans for this year, you know, to play huge arenas that, you know, possibly get shut down, you know, like how are they supposed to recuperate any of that cost, you know, like if you lose a whole show.
Yep. So comment down below or hit us up if you know of any other shows that are like this, or if you want to make something like this happen for yourself. That's what we're interested in for the future.
Right.
One of the
this is
things
the
that-
way to do it right here. Like we've done the research. We done did that.
We done did that, as we say down south. And, you know, now if you want to know, then
Yeah.
you might want to come to us
Yeah.
because we done already did that.
Yep, exactly. And I mean,
You already know, son.
we already know. So that's what our plan for this studio in the future is. Bring bands in. We're going to you know, hook them up with live streaming to multiple platforms, multiple camera angles. Definitely Zoom. If they
Speaking of
want to.
multiple camera angles, I think there's something including the left side of the 6600 now.
Is there?
Perhaps it's been pushed too close to the speaker. It's
Oh,
beside.
I see that. Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm
I
going to
mean,
go just that, I think, real quick.
I mean, that is. I mean, there's nothing too wrong with that, I guess.
Probably because I put the monitor there and I was jarring it around, you know?
Oh yeah. So we did get like the other stream that we did last week was about a Feel World monitor. That's one of the workarounds for the ATEM Mini. Definitely check out that video if you haven't seen it. The ATEM Mini. We are actually looping through the Slingstudio and mixing it together. So what you're seeing in this bottom left-hand corner of our quadrant here is the mixed version of the ATEM Mini Pro ISO with Slingstudio. So what we're doing here is we're expanding infinity times infinity. I'm like the infinity video, and then we got infinity audio over here.
That's the expansion that's infinite.
Right.
The infinite expansion that is Infinity times Infinity Studios.
Right. And make sure to If you're a video guy,
How's our shot? Better? Looks like there may still be something along the edge there.
I think it's better though. I mean, like
It is better, certainly.
Sure.
But
there
I'm
is
not
a
sure it's
replay
completely solved.
within the Slingstudio. I'm seeing stuff on the screen, so there is a replay button kind of in the way.
Yeah. I believe my shot is showing that it's actually clear of it. So I think we're good.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
We're good.
Yeah, it's just barely clear. We're living on the edge here, you know? Our shit is just right up against being fucking terrible.
Right.
At all times. Or maybe it is terrible. You let us know, perhaps, if we are as terrible as it seems like we might be sometimes.
Look, all it takes is, just doing it over and over again, just being consistent, and the video will come out good. Like, I remember our first video, it was like, I don't even think it made it out, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think that we had to figure out stream key settings, and we didn't even.
We thought we were streaming.
We thought we were streaming
for a good 30-40 minutes, but
go back to some of our streams, guys. Yeah, we have some weird stuff out there. We talked about Tropshka a lot, which is good.
There was a stream where there was no audio for almost the entire stream, but then I think we recovered and had audio for part of it at the end. So
we recovered.
Usually if we're fucking up, we unfuck up at some point. So it's always an adventure, right? To watch our adventure unfold and our follies either continue or be resolved.
Right. Okay, guys.
We're like clowns here for your amusement.
We are here for your amusement. I think that we're definitely going to do series of these videos in the future. This is pretty much close to the end. Do you have any other thing to add, Dan?
No, I think we'll save the other words and some more advanced terms for those words and more advanced examples for other future streams.
Right.
But indeed, we do have a plethora of material related to terms that intersect within the audio and video production worlds.
Right.
So look forward to that in the future.
Exactly.
All you Tubelets and Twitches.
All you YouTubers and Twitches. Infinity times infinitystudios.com. Go there. You will see Ethan Loomis' stuff. You'll see Derek Townsend. You'll see Steve King. You'll see all of it there. Go check it out. Big ups to you guys. Infinity times infinity. Out. Let's go.
Peace.
Okay. Okay, so I did not press go live
at all.
But how was this streaming?
It was because I saw it. So
you guys, I didn't even press go live on the thing, and it still went through. So
you must have, and it didn't show or something.
Really? You think?
Because we were streaming.
We were definitely streaming.
Yeah, you just had that sinking feeling like, oh no, it didn't
happen.
Oh
no, it didn't record.
But I've been monitoring us, and I know it did.
Right, I've been monitoring us too. So, okay, anyway, guys, we'll see you next time. I have to manually end these streams, so give me a sec here, you guys.
Is that, or did it manually